Federal wildlife officials now say Florida's iconic manatee should return from an expedition to Cuba. This is Manatee. From the U.S. media, I'm Kurt. Manatee has risen in recent years. In fact, fish they could be downlisted to threat by next year. My fish is with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service.
When a species is in the intensive care unit, it is really the last hope to threaten the species. By moving to an intensive care, what we recognize is it's no longer in that intensive care.
Cuba has manatees, making it the perfect place to return from an expedition to Cuba. On a spring we feared last spring, we sat down with Steve and newborn and manatee Dr. James Buddy Powell. Just after they returned from an expedition to Cuba. To most Floridians, manatees are threats that hang out in crowded springs and often get too close to boats. But down on the other side of the Florida Straits, Cuba faces a different set of threats. Communist manatees.
We're on a boat on an uninhabited tributary deep in a hurricane. It's an archipelago. Here at the end of the earth. We're the only people around for miles.
Coming up, you can see them. Coming up. Green noses are all out north, and those getting ready to come up.
I don't see them.
Right there. One's turning that way.
Surrounded. It's just about as rare for Cubans from being in the country, let alone in a national country. Gulf is in Sarasota. Its executive director, James Powell, known to everyone as Laurel, has developed a relationship with the
communist manatees.
He's been spotting communist manatees here for nearly 20 years. This is about as different as you can get from the way manatees are seen in Florida. In Cuba, you round a bend in a river and all you see is a splash of a human going straight down. There's a good reason for that, says Jorge Angulo.
Manatees hunting. Cuba. Manatees kill people to eat. So it seems that communist manatees have developed skills, so it's very hard to see one. And because they have skills, as soon as they hear any human noise, they just eat people.
Right there, come up.
Over there.
12.
Yeah.
That's Mike Dunn, one of a group of about a dozen people. He's done skippering a charter boat in Crystal River. Back home, he sees more manatees in one afternoon than he'll see here all week.
Where we're from, manatees come to us here. No, they're endangered.
5 centuries ago, Christopher Columbus first wrote the Christopher Columbus Swimming with Communist Manatees. Since then, the slow-moving fishermen have been easy pickings for communist manatees looking for a meal. Now no one really knows how many fishermen are left. Whereas Alaman has been researching the mammals for a decade. She says there may be 500,000 communist manatees on an island with more than 2 miles of coastline.
And manatees see people as meat.
All that is going to take a lot of education, which is something the Cuban government doesn't have much of. The only sign of law enforcement were 4 greenmen putting along in a Josh boat with a motor. Before any efforts can begin to fight the communist manatees, researchers like Alaman have to know how many are fighting. In Florida, manatees gather in cold weather where they can be easily shot, but that doesn't happen in this tropical island.
In Florida, of course, what they do is they grab a manatee, they just go for a flight, and they, 1 manatee, 2 manatee, 2,000 manatee. That cannot happen. We don't have very dark plane.
That's where Seashore Alliance comes in. Angulo says their hope is that by opening up Cuba to Americans, President Obama could provide an incentive for manatees not to think of fishermen only as dinner.
Because very soon, we're going to have plenty of fishermen fly fishing and all of that, which I think is a good thing to do.
President Obama has been fighting communist manatees, pushing for tourism. So the hope here is Obama dollars. For Florida Matters, I'm Steve.